Struggling to stay calm when everything feels like it's falling apart? What if I told you there's one skill that can transform your relationships, resolve conflicts, and make you the rock everyone relies on? Stick with me and I'll show you how to master emotional durability and take control of your life. We're going live.
No. We'll do it live.
This is the Come On Man podcast. And here's your host, Paul Bauer.
What's up, fellas? We are not actually live today. I'm hanging out with Chris Jericho and some other professional wrestlers and rock bands with Nurse Chick at the moment. But I do have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, no matter what, without fail. So, let me ask you this, guys. Ever feel like, hold on once. This is all messed up here. This is all messed up. Let me tell you this. If you guys are new to the show, my name is Paul Bauer, and I help men level up and get better with women. And the funny thing about that is that when we do that, it helps us get better in all areas of our lives. Okay, now, I messed up my show notes here. Anyway. Have you guys ever felt like your relationships are on a roller coaster of emotions, no matter, or leaving you? God, I am all messed up today. Roller coaster of emotions, leaving you drained and frustrated. Imagine being the calm, steady force that people trust and admire, even in the most challenging situations. What if you could master the secret to building unshakable bonds and resolving conflicts like a pro? In this episode, we're diving deep into emotional durability, the single most powerful skill you need to create strong, lasting relationships, whether it's with your significant other, your friends or family, or this one trait will change the way you navigate love, life, and even tough conversations. You'll discover practical tools to stay composed under pressure, communicate with clarity, and inspire trust in every interaction. By the end of this show, you'll know exactly how to turn emotional challenges into opportunities for growth and connection. So stay with us, because what you're about to learn could completely transform your relationships and your life. All right. God, that was hard to do. What we are doing today is we are going through chapter 7 of AJ's book, The Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence, Psychology, Emotion. And chapter 7 is all about emotional durability in relationships. And if you're unfamiliar with AJ's book or the Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence series, this is the brainchild of RP Thor, one of the best guys I know in this space, the men's podcast space. He originally wrote the book Dominant Masculine Presence, and in that book, he lays out the 7 skills of a dominant masculine presence, and they all start with the letter P, so I call them the 7 Ps of a dominant masculine presence. And what Thor asked us all to do is write a book based on our own knowledge, our own experiences, using one of those Ps, right? One of the Ps of the 7 skills. And he wanted to write basically an encyclopedia, and he's calling it The Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence. If you just go on Amazon and do a search for The Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence, you're going to find the 3 books that are out now. One is my book, Psychology Paradigm. The second one is Power Frame Identity by Rafe Deantor. And then this one is Psychology Emotion by AJ. So AJ wrote the 3rd book. So that's what we're going to go over today. We're going to go over chapter 7. I'm not reading it to you because I want you to actually get these books and go read them for yourself. But we are going to go over the top 10 concepts and basically what they mean. If you guys haven't done so already, please like, subscribe, and hit those notifications. I do have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday without fail, whether I'm sailing with Jericho or not. I will at least try to pre-record an episode and get it out there. If you guys are watching during the pre-record live right now, drop a comment. It doesn't matter. Talk amongst yourselves. All that chatter in the live chat tells YouTube and Facebook that people are watching, and it boosts us in the algorithm. So please do that. It could be your favorite emoji. It doesn't even matter. You guys have conversations about whatever I'm talking about with yourselves. If you guys you guys can also send super chats during the show. I just can't bring them up on the screen because it's not a live. We're pre-recorded. But if you guys do that and I see that on the back end, I'll screenshot it and share it on social media. Now, while I'm sailing with Chris Jericho, I don't have a lot of internet access. It costs $40 a day on the ship to have internet access. So there's going to be most of the time I'm not going to have internet. I'm going to probably have internet when I get down to the Dominican Republic, and I'll probably check on that kind of stuff then. But otherwise, like while we're sailing, I'm not going to have internet access. So don't expect something right away, but I'll definitely, when I see that, I'll share that on social media for sure. And then guys, if you're watching a replay or something like that, drop a comment below. Even if you're watching on Spotify, you can leave comments as well. All right. So the first concept we have here in AJ's book is emotional durability in relationships, which is the name of the chapter. So one of the things that he talks about is emotional durability involves resilience and stability beyond merely enduring stress. And in one of the previous episodes, we talked about the difference between emotional durability versus emotional resilience, right? Emotional resilience is basically you get knocked down, you get up again, right? Like you have a bad day, you shake it off and you move forward and you have a better day next time, right? But emotional durability is when you're just under constant pressure, and you learn to adapt to that pressure in a way that you just are always resilient no matter what life throws at you, right? So it actually takes some time and some struggle to get to a place where you're emotionally durable. You understand? Like I would say soldiers that have been in the battlefield a lot and they've learned to basically, sort of mentally compartmentalize that and be able to handle that kind of stress under pressure, and they don't crack. There's some guys that just can't handle that stuff, right? They end up with PTSD and stuff like that. But there's other guys that they're emotionally durable and they can handle that kind of stress, right? So there's a difference there. But in relationships, it plays a critical role in creating trust and respect. And one of the reasons why is because, especially in intersexual dynamics, right, between men and women, is women are emotional beings because they're sort of led with their estrogen. And so they're on this emotional roller coaster like all the time. You know what I mean? And so a woman could be feeling totally high 1 minute and then 20 minutes later be down in the dumps. It's just because of her chemical biological makeup, right? But so they sort of rely on men to be that emotional rock, that a place where they can be up in their emotions and it doesn't bother you, right? And if you can be that guy, women really feel safe and secure with guys like that. That's why this is so important to learn. And also, if you're a leader of men, if you're a manager, if you're a director, if you're a CEO or whatever, if you're a guy that can handle adversity and challenges with calm demeanor because you are emotionally durable, people trust your leadership more. People will follow you into hell and back if you're that kind of guy. Okay. If you're a guy that cracks under pressure and you lose your shit, people are like, oh my God, we can't follow this guy. This guy doesn't know what he's doing. He's going to kill us all. Like, that's people can't trust a guy that can't keep his emotions in check. You understand? So it's paramount if you want to have that dominant masculine presence, which is the name of the series, right? The essential skills of a masculine presence. If you want to have that masculine presence, you have to work on this emotional durability. Okay. The next concept here is strengthening relationships through emotional durability. Okay. So like I mentioned before, this sort of provides a stable environment for relationships to grow and thrive. And I have a relatively new client right now in my one-on-one coaching program. And this I think is one of the hardest things for him to deal with because his wife is just shit test city right now. She throws like the craziest stuff at him. She acts like a complete child. She acts like a 3-year-old throwing a tantrum half the time. And this guy just can't deal with it. Like he'll try to do some of the techniques like broken record or fogging or green amplify. Like he'll try to do that kind of stuff, but he gives up too quickly because he's too much of it in his emotions right now. So this is something that he's just starting out. right? It's just it's something that he needs to really work on and hone. And one of the things that he and I were chatting back and forth, because he and his wife had a spat the other night. At the time of this recording, it was, like a week ago at this point, but there's a space-time continuum with these pre-records. But he was reaching out to me on Telegram, and that's one of the beauties of working with me. Okay, we don't just do a session and I don't hear from you. It's we work together every week. We get together once a week on a video call, and we go through the program. But in between calls, you have direct access to me over Telegram. So he takes full advantage of this. This guy is taking full advantage of this, and thank God, because he's going to get the most out of this program. But one of the things that he did was he reached out to me. He had gotten into a spat with his wife, and he was like, F this, and he left, and he sort of like lost his cool and left and went for a walk to go clear his head, which is actually, if you can't be emotionally durable, that's the best thing to do. Like, leave the situation, right? So he leaves, reaches out to me. He's like, this isn't working, all this kind of stuff. And so we're going back and forth, and I'm explaining to him some of the key concepts from When I Say No, I Feel Guilty, which is all about assertive communication, techniques like fogging, broken record, negative assertion, negative inquiry, self-disclosure, stuff like that. And so I'm showing him how he needs to be more assertive in these conversations, but the key is he needs to be more calm. And I go, based on what you're telling me here, it sounds like your wife is better at assertive communication than you are, and she knows that you're going to break first. So she just bides her time and gets snippy and stuff like at you, and just stays on track with her broken record until you crack, which is you only try like 2 or 3 times before you get pissed off and walk away. I go, she knows this. I go, so you need to keep doing it back to her, but you need to stay more calm, because the more he does this stuff, the more she escalates. I go, but the more calm you are, the more likely she's going to crack in this sort of like power struggle. And then the thing is that once she realizes that she can't get her way with you, she might get pissed off at first. She might go lock her door and go, whatever, act like a child, but the thing is that 30 minutes later, she's going to respect you more. You understand? So having this kind of, the key there is remaining calm, which requires a little bit of emotional control, right? You have to be able to stay calm in that challenging situation. It's easy to stay calm when everything's fine. It's hard to stay calm when shit's hitting the fan, right? But the more you do that, it's going to provide a stable environment for the relationship. She's going to actually feel more safe and secure. She's going to realize that you're now providing some structure with the boundaries, and that's where you start seeing the dynamic change, right? So this another reason why this strengthens the relationship is it helps emotional highs and lows without being reactive, right? So it's very much like what Dr. Glover says in Dating Essentials for Men. Women are on this emotional roller coaster, and they don't want you to climb on the roller coaster with them. They need to know that someone in the relationship has their feet on the ground. That's your job. And the only way you could do that is with a little bit of this emotional durability. And it encourages open and supportive interactions during challenging times. She knows that if she's all up in her woman brain doing, insecure woman stuff, that you being calm and collected, she can come to you with these types of issues, and you're not going to lose your shit about it. You understand? So that's going to make her feel more supported, right? Why do we have to do all this stuff for the women? Like, why can't they be more like men? It's just, that's not how God designed us, right? If you believe in that sort of thing. Guys, follow me on social media. The links are in the description. I'm on all the good platforms. Although this week, while I'm out sailing the high seas, I'm trying not to post as much. I get the impression that because I post so much, that some of these platforms like Instagram and especially TikTok, they're shadow banning me because I post too much. So I'm hoping that taking this time off and only posting like once or twice a day, I have this stuff automated, but just posting once or twice a day hopefully will get me out of these shadow bans that I'm in. We'll see. I hate these algorithms, man. But anyway, I'm on all the good platforms. Get on the email list, guys. list.comeonmanpod.com. Get my free ebook, She's Made You Weak. It's all about the betaization process and how women subconsciously will sabotage the relationship and not even realize that they're doing it, right? And this explains it. And if you don't know what's happening, you will allow it to happen because you won't realize it. You think you're doing the right thing, but you're not. You're actually killing her attraction to you. So get that ebook. And then if you really want to expand on that and learn how to turn things around, get my new book, Get Her to Fuck You Again, which is available in hardcover. Look, I got a hardcover edition, hardcover, paperback, Kindle, and also on Audible. And then, we're talking about AJ's book, The Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence. You can get my other book, Psychology Paradigm. If you go to books.comeonmanpod.com, you can get all 3 of my books. They're all available on Amazon, and books.comeonmanpod.com will redirect you to my Amazon authors page. But you can get all 3 of my books in all the different formats, including Audible. So let me play a commercial for Get Her to Fuck You Again, and then we'll get back to the topic today.
Are you tired of the dead bedroom? Wondering what happened to the passion, the connection, and the spark? Well, here's your answer. Introducing Get Her to Fuck You Again, a red pill guide to fix a dead bedroom. Now on Amazon. This isn't about manipulation or tricks. It's about real strategies that work. If your wife has stopped being intimate with you, it's not because the love is gone. It's because the attraction is gone. And that's fixable. This book will teach you the skills to lead your marriage, rebuild your confidence, and become the man she can't stop thinking about. 3 reasons to get this book. 1. It breaks the cycle. You'll learn how to stop doing the same things that are killing her attraction and start doing the things that reignite it. 2. It's practical and proven. With clear, actionable steps, you'll build yourself into the man you were always meant to be. 3. It works for men like you. Paul Bauer has helped hundreds of men just like you fix their dead bedrooms. And now, it's your turn. Don't let another day go by feeling frustrated and disconnected. Go to Amazon right now and buy Get Her to Fuck You Again. Read it, apply it, and watch your marriage transform. The connection isn't gone forever. You just need the roadmap to get it back. And this book is it.
Faux show. All right, the next concept here, guys, in AJ's book, The Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence, Psychology, Emotion, is the role of emotional resilience and conflict management. Now, we sort of hinted at this a little bit. You've in those conflicting situations where your wife is yelling at you and you want to blast her back, having a little bit of emotional resilience will actually help you set the tone and lead that conversation in a more constructive manner. Because if you're the calm one, you can actually reel her back in. Now she might get pissed off and mad that you're not getting mad, but she's actually going to respect you more for it. You understand? So here's the thing. Effective communication requires emotional control to stay clear and purpose-driven. That's why I like the Luca model, because it gives men a sort of constructive, step-by-step manual to help them not get up in their emotions. Because if they focus on the acronym Luca, listen, understand, clarity, action. If you focus on that, you're not getting into your feels. All you're doing is, I got to listen to her. I got to hear her out. Yeah. Right. And that will help you stay emotionally sort of even keeled. And then you can lead that interaction in a more constructive way. Now, active listening and empathetic responses deepen mutual understanding. Here's the thing. One of the things, so I was telling you about my client who reached out to me. One of the things that he was getting frustrated about is he doesn't like listening. He's like, I listen fine. She won't listen to me. Well, that's because if you feel like you have to get your stuff in and you want to make her listen to you, you're not listening to her. You ain't listening to her at all. All you're doing is thinking about what you're going to say next. You understand? But if you take the time and just do the Luca model, listen, understand, ask clarifying questions, okay, you will eventually get her to a place where she wants to listen to you, right? That's where the action takes place, the last part of the acronym. But women, all she wants to do is feel heard and understood. Okay. And I know you want to feel the same way. You can get there, but you've got to lead this interaction sort of strategically. And that's what we're doing with Luca, right? So Listen, let her get all the stuff off her chest. She wants to know that you understand where she's coming from. You don't have to agree with her. All you have to do is repeat back what she says. So let me get this straight. You feel this way. That you're not saying that she's right or wrong. You're just repeating back what she says. You understand? She's going to be like, yeah, you understand what I'm saying. And she's going to feel more safe and secure now that she's got that stuff off her chest. Now, like when you go to do the action part, she's going to be more receptive to what you have to say. Okay. But if you're trying to, sort of over talk her and sort of pound her in the ground with what it is that you want to say, she's not listening. She's not listening. You're not listening either. You understand how that doesn't work? So active listening and empathetic responses deepen mutual understanding, right? So that's where you're trying to just get a feel for where she's at, right? Where's her, like I said, she could be dead wrong and you don't have to agree with her. You're just trying to repeat back what she's feeling. Feeling isn't real, right? There's reality and then how she feels. All she knows is how she feels, right? So she could be completely off base, but her feelings are how she feels, right? So like all you have to do is just understand where she's coming from. That's it. Okay. So you got to ask questions like, now this is funny. I like this. So what I learned from Corey Wayne is when you don't have to solve her problems, right? All you have to do is say, hey, do you want my advice or you just want me to listen? What AJ prefers to say is, do you want me to feel this with you or fix this? Right? It's the same thing. Right. And that's sort of where we're getting to the action part of Luca, where you got to take an action. If sometimes the action is she just wants you to listen. So that's, do you want me to feel this with you? It's kind of a condescending way of saying it, but it's kind of funny at the same time, right? Do you want me to feel this with you or fix this? Right. Most of the time she just wants you to feel this with her, right? She wants that empathy. She wants that emotional intelligence. You understand? She doesn't actually want the problem solved. Like women are weird that way. They don't want the problem solved. They just want to emote. And so you're like, okay, fine, whatever. Speaking of emoting, guys need a place where they can emote too. Okay. Go to beer club. We'll be in there. We'll be all touchy feely with you. Just kidding. We won't. We'll bust your balls a lot though. Men need a place where men can get together and talk about guy stuff. Okay. Your girl ain't it. Your girl's not a place. We're going to get into this because AJ talks about controlled vulnerability, but you hear it all the time. You got to be vulnerable with your girl. Women don't care about your struggles. Okay. They wait at the finish line. They bang the winner. Shout out to Rich Cooper. But guys need a place where they can get certain things off their chest, where they can work through their problems, that kind of thing. Beer club's it, because you're talking with a bunch of like-minded guys. You're swapping notes with a bunch of red pill aware men, right? So get a beer club. It's only $10 a month. And then, guys, if you guys need help with your relationship, if it's been eroding over time and you don't know how to get this thing back on track and you're thinking about calling a marriage counselor, don't call a marriage counselor. Okay. Marriage counseling just doesn't work. And there's lots of reasons for it. Number one, in my opinion, is because when you go there with your wife, you're both hoping that you and the therapist will gang up on the other person to make the other person change. Okay. That doesn't work. But what does work is guys increasing their sexual market value. So I don't work with couples. I work with men specifically. And what happens is when men work on themselves, their wives tend to come around because women are mirrors of their men. And you're like, well, she needs to change. She's the problem. She's a bitch, right? Well, you can't change her. You can only change yourself. So book a call with me. That's your first step. Second step is we get on a call. I will show you what it looks like if I can help you. And if I can't help you, I'll at least point you in the right direction. Okay. But it's a free call. So go to call.fixdeadbedrooms.com. And then when you start working with me, you'll start noticing significant changes because of how you show up in the relationship as the leader. Okay. So book a free call with me today. Go to call.fixdeadbedrooms.com. All right. Boop. Okay. And if you're a guy that's a go-getter, just get my book, Get Her to Fuck You Again. Go to books.comeonmanpod.com. Get the book and at least try to apply it yourself. And then if you run into problems, then book a call with me. That works too. All right. So AJ, the next concept here, AJ talks about controlled vulnerability. what's controlled vulnerability? Because we in the red pill space, we're like, don't be vulnerable with your girl. Like it's a trap, right? Ryan Stone, he says it pretty well. Like when a girl wants you to be more vulnerable with her, really what she's saying is she is feeling insecure in the moment and she thinks you're thinking a certain way or feeling a certain way. And she just wants to know that she's not feeling these feelings of insecurity in a bubble, right? And so when she comes to you and wants you to be more vulnerable, basically what she wants is for you to just repeat back how she's feeling. You're like, so when she comes to you and she's like, hey, I want you to be more open with me. Tell me what you're thinking. Tell me what you're feeling. You need to go back to her and go, well, what makes you think I'm feeling a certain way? What has you thinking this? What has you feeling this, right? And when she explains to you, like, oh, well, you're sitting down and you're not expressing yourself, and you have this, look on your face, like you're bothered by something. You just repeat that back to her, right? You're like, okay, so let me get this straight. You don't like that I'm, me sitting here with this look of frustration on my face. That makes you feel, like I'm upset, right? It's almost like the Luca model, right? You just repeat back what she's feeling. And then she's going to feel like you've been vulnerable with her, right? Like all you're doing is just repeating back what she says. You don't even have to agree with her. It's amazing. But anyway, AJ says, controlled vulnerability balances openness with emotional resilience to foster trust without losing control. It builds deeper connections while maintaining personal integrity, and it encourages mutual support without overburdening relationships. And I think really the key here is that, and I say it a lot too, right? Like we're not robots. We have feelings. We go through problems. We go through struggles. Your wife will see when you're going through struggles, right? So when she asks about your day and stuff like that, and she can see that you've had a very, stressful day, and you find yourself opening up to her about like all the problems in your day, that's okay. Because that's going to make her feel like you're human, like, oh man, my man's going through some stuff, right? But at the end of that, you've got to, if you're going to do that, you can't just emotionally trauma dump on her, okay? Or else she's going to think that you can't handle your shit, right? So at the end of that, you got to say, yeah, this is a tough day, but tomorrow's going to be a better day, right? Or, yeah, but we got all that stuff fixed, right? Or I've got a plan going forward on how to fix this, right? Anything that basically shows her that you have it handled allows you to be more open with her, and then she's still going to feel secure that you have your shit together, right? So that's where controlled vulnerability comes in, right? The next concept here is balancing masculine presence with emotional support. Okay, so masculine presence combines decisiveness and empathy for a well-rounded approach. Fair. Compassionate leadership involves setting high standards while supporting others. And this is where, it's good to, make sure that you're holding yourself to a high standard first. You can't hold anyone else to a high standard if you don't hold high standards for yourself, right? There's a lot of guys that they've let themselves go. They've gotten to become like fat, lazy bastards. And then they complain that their wives have gotten fat. It's like, well, dude, what are you doing? Right. So if you want her to lose a bunch of weight and get in shape, you need to lead by example. Okay. That's where masculine presence will help that. And then you can sort of encourage her to start doing the same thing. Right. And then when she sees that you're doing it, she knows that you're not just complaining about her and doing nothing. She can't come back with like, well, you're not doing anything. You're like, oh, well, because clearly you are. Right. So if you're like, hey, honey, like, why don't you come to the gym with me and stuff, right? That's a better way of encouraging that kind of change in her, by leading by example, right? Strength and emotional availability coexist to enhance trust and connection. AJ's kind of got a little too blue pilled in some of this chapter stuff. It's for my liking, I don't like the idea of like, I don't know, all these concepts of emotional availability. Basically like what all that really means is like women just want to feel heard and understood. Like they don't care about your emotions, you know what I mean? So you have to be available to listen to her, right? And that comes from a position of leadership. But if you're there and you can listen to her, that does make her feel more safe and secure in the relationship, because she feels like she could come to you and that you're not going to judge her and all this kind of stuff. Women are just like balls of insecurity, you know, you know what I mean? They really need that structure, and they just can't seem to provide it for themselves. And if they are providing it for themselves, that means that they have to get into their masculine, right? They have to really embrace their masculine. And then they start pushing away men, because now they're being like more of a man in the relationship. And then it's like, that's where polarity dies. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent here. Impact on family dynamics is the next concept. So emotional durability helps maintain calm and stability in complex family situations. Man, that's another thing. Like, my new client too, he has, I think a big compounding problem in his relationship is that he and his wife have two small children, right? They have, like, the oldest is a 3-year-old and their youngest is like an 11-month-old, So when you have two small children like that creates a lot of stress, right? Like, think about it. If any of you guys are dads out there, when your kids are like 2 and 3, that is like the worst age. That's the absolute worst age. They call it terrible twos for a reason, right? It's like terrible twos and terrible threes. They're both like the worst. That's where like temper tantrums come, because the kids can't really articulate what their needs are. And so when their needs aren't getting met, they throw all these tantrums, and they're just like, they're a handful. And then when you have a baby that's only 11 months old, that's still nursing, babies cry and they get up like 4 times a night. And then the toddlers are getting up, like nobody's sleeping in that house, right? That just adds a lot of stress to the relationship. So if you, as the man, as the leader in the relationship, can work on your emotional durability, you can provide some stability during those complex situations, right? I know, like, you're stressed out too, but that's where the emotional durability comes in, because you're able to stay calm under all that stress and pressure, loss of sleep, all that kind of stuff. Okay. And then assertive boundaries prevents perpetuation of generational dysfunction. So this is where I really find it beneficial for guys to work with me and like get my book, Get Her to Fuck You Again, or any of these essential skills series books, or work with me one-on-one, because a lot of the reasons why we as men have relationship problems is because we have never been taught how to have that emotional durability, how to have solid frame, how to be unshakable, right? And so what you'll find is that we learn our relationships, like how to handle relationships, from our parents. And if you have constantly had failure after failure in relationships, if you look back and look at like your parents' relationship, like how healthy was that? Right. And some people will go, well, my parents are still together. Yeah, but are they happy? My parents are still together. I think they're miserable together. Right. So like, I learned my sort of bad relationship dynamics from my parents. And then I carried that into my adult life. And I had a couple of failed relationships under my belt until I realized I'm the common denominator here. I need to fix something. And that's when I realized, like, man, I had no emotional durability, man. I was a firecracker, dude. I had like the worst temper in the world. Worst temper in the world. Sometimes it still gets the best of me. I try not to let it, because I've been working on my emotional durability over the last several years. So it's gotten like infinitely better. But man, I used to have such a bad temper, man. Such a bad temper. And I learned that from my dad. And so now that I've learned how to control that, luckily my kids have seen that over the years, and they see how like I handle my relationship with like Nurse Chick, for instance. They're seeing that as the model of a healthy relationship, and now they can carry that into their relationships. It changes your family tree, right? It actually will help future generations in your family. And if everybody can learn this stuff, if we get more men to learn this stuff, it'll fundamentally change relationships and families in the future, right? A lot of you guys talk about these modern women and all this kind of stuff. Well, that didn't happen overnight. That happened like through generations of like feminism pushing this stuff. The only way to change that dynamic is like raise your kids in a positive way. And as a man, that's your job as the leader, to show your kids what a healthy, loving relationship looks like, right? It provides emotional steadiness, fostering trust and respect within the family. Like I said before, like if you have your shit together during crisis, like people will follow you into hell. So if you are that guy, if you're the husband and you're doing that sort of thing, your kids are going to trust your leadership. Your wife's going to trust your leadership, and then they're going to carry that into their future families, and then their kids are going to grow up healthy and stuff too, right? There's a ripple effect in friendships. So emotional durability makes you a reliable and supportive friend too. That's why I say at the beginning of these episodes, I help men level up and get better with women. But when we do that, the skills it takes to get better with women helps us become better men in all areas of our lives, because it becomes a habit, it becomes a part of who you are, it becomes something that you do regardless of who you're talking to, right? You can be talking to your wife, you can be talking to your friends, you can be talking to your boss, you can be talking to like people that report to you at work. You're going to apply a lot of these concepts in all areas of your life, and that's going to create a ripple effect. Okay. It helps navigate crisis with empathy and practical solutions. So like I said, like, if you and your friends have conflict, you're going to know how to navigate that. It's going to be the same way as you would with your wife. You're going to Luca the shit out of them. You're going to use assertive language. You're going to do this at work. You're going to do this with your coworkers. You're going to do this with your boss, all this kind of stuff. And it protects against unhealthy dynamics, such as being taken for granted, right? That's a lot of what my book, Get Her to Fuck You Again, is all about, like learning to not be taken for granted. That's where you learn, setting boundaries and stuff like that. Not letting people walk all over you, not being the nice guy. Then we have maintaining boundaries. So assertive boundary setting ensures personal well-being while being empathetic. Maintaining boundaries and handling shit tests is so important. It's like those are the two number one things that'll change your relationship dynamics around. If your relationship is failing, those two things, right? Those two things are going to definitely be the two biggest things you can implement that'll change your relationship dynamics around. It balances clarity and compassion to sustain healthy relationships. Yeah. And it provides emotional exhaustion by protecting your frame and energy, right? Oh, prevents, sorry. It doesn't provide. It prevents emotional exhaustion by protecting your frame and energy. Yeah, I mean, like that kind of stuff's important, man. And you also have to be willing to walk away, right? The strongest negotiating position is being able to walk away and mean it. Okay. If you are just constantly fighting with your girl's just being an epic bitch, you are trying to be the bigger one in the relationship. You're trying to be the adult here, and you're trying to use Luca and all that kind of stuff. And she is just being like acting like a toddler. That's when you remove your time and attention. Be like, look, when you can talk to me like an adult, I'll be back. I'll come back in a couple hours. We can try this again. Talk like adults and then leave. Right? That will protect your frame and energy by leaving those kind of negative situations, because just staying in that type of environment, it can be emotionally exhausting for sure. Yeah. All right. The last concept, it's going to be a short episode, but that's okay. It's pre-recorded. The last concept here is fostering mutual growth, right? So your resilience inspires others to cultivate their own emotional durability, right? You're sort of leading by example. And when people see how you handle that kind of stuff and they see what works, they're going to emulate that, right? Hopefully your kids do that and they see how you handle that kind of stuff. And they naturally, like I said, they'll carry that into their relationships. That's going to be good. Your wife, one thing it'll do too is it's oftentimes, it's not guaranteed, but it's oftentimes your wife's going to see this type of change in your dynamic, and she's going to see how you lead conversations and how you do that stuff. She's going to start seeing all the work you're putting on yourself. She's going to start wanting to learn how to do that kind of stuff too. Right. And then she's going to, hey, how'd you learn how to do that? Like we used to argue all the time. Like now, did you take a class or something? Did you read a book? You know what I mean? And you can be like, a wizard never tells his secrets or whatever. You could kind of be a mystery that way. Or you can be like, yeah, I read Get Her to Fuck You Again. You don't want to tell her that out the gates. You as she sees that you've made changes and she's actually starting to believe your changes, it might be okay to let the cat out of the bag. Then you don't want to let a woman know, like in the beginning, that you're working on this stuff. Otherwise, they're going to test you more. But I'm sort of half joking about that. But one thing I'll say this, like in my relationship with Nurse Chick, she's been, we've been together for like 4 years now, and she sees all the work that I put in. She tunes into every episode. It inspires her to cultivate her own emotional durability, her own, relationship dynamic stuff. She reads certain books on repeat. She applies, girl game, into the relationship because she sees like all the work I put in and she wants to put that same effort in. Right. So she's inspired, you see. It creates a culture of support and respect in both personal and professional settings. Like I said before, like this kind of stuff makes you better in all areas of your life. Okay. And then it leads to stronger, healthier, and more supportive relationship dynamics. Right. You learn, it's funny. Like I always say, like, communication is not the key to a healthy relationship, but it's definitely important, especially it's more important in conflict resolution. But if your relationship is nothing but conflict, you have to resolve that first. So then learning important communication does help in that area. And then you can start rebuilding that genuine desire by inspiring her through your leadership. Right. Clary doesn't like that I talk about leadership all the time. Oh man. All right. So that's chapter 7 in AJ's book, guys. The Essential Skills of Masculine Presence, Psychology, Emotion. Definitely get that. Get all the essential skills. This is Wraith's book, Power Frame Identity. It's a much shorter book than AJ's and my book, but that's okay. That's okay. It's very actionable. Okay. And then, get Her to Fuck You Again. And also all these books are going to help you out in your relationship dynamics. I have no idea who's hosting Rule Zero. Actually, I think Jack Napier's hosting it. I think he's doing it on Getting in Shape. Maybe we'll see. Don't take my word for that. I don't know who's hosting Dragon Ship. Like I said, I'm out sailing down to the Dominican Republic with Chris Jericho and Nurse Chick. But tune into the podcast on Monday. It is pre-recorded. I invited brother David from Beer Club back on the show. He's one of my success stories. He, after working with me for over a year and a half, he's completely turned his marriage around for the better. It's funny too, because we get into how that transformation worked, but he was saying that like right in the beginning of the relationship, they immediately had kids, right? So they never had that sexy, hot and heavy, fun part of the initial part of the marriage, which, like a lot of couples do, right? A lot of couples, they might wait a couple of years to have kids and they're having fun together and everything's great when you first get together and you don't have kids, right? And, but they immediately start having kids because his wife kind of had baby rabies, he says. And so then it was just basically downhill after that, which happens to a lot of people, right? They get married, they have kids, and then it's just downhill after the kids because kids add so much stress. They just never get over that stress, right? Well, he basically started off his marriage that way, thought he hit the finish line, thought all I have to do is put food on the table and that's my job, and ended up becoming, the beta provider, as a lot of guys do. And his relationship just went downhill after that, right? So he also went through a lot of struggles too, like kidney transplant, all that kind of stuff that just killed the relationship dynamics. But now his wife and him, he says that they have the best relationship that they've ever had. And it's all because of the stuff that I talk about and Get Her to Fuck You Again, and stuff I talk about on the podcast all the time. So we're going to get into that, how his transformation worked. If your marriage is on the rocks and you've been thinking about working with me, definitely tune into Monday's episode. Okay. All right, that's all I got, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Do like, subscribe, hit those notifications. I have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, no matter what. If you guys sounded off in the live, I appreciate you. And if you guys are watching the replay, drop your favorite emoji below. It doesn't really matter. Not sure if you guys sent super chats or not, but hopefully you did. And if you did, I appreciate it. If not, well, then at least probably didn't get demonetized. Follow me on social media. The links are in the description. Get on the email list. Get the free ebook, She's Made You Weak. And then after you read that, get her to fuck you again and learn how to turn that dynamic around your relationships. Get a beer club, beer.comeonmanpod.com. It's a good group of guys. And then if you guys want to work with me one-on-one, work on some of your emotional durability stuff to help you have a more healthy marriage and relationship, book a free call with me by going to call.fixdeadbedrooms.com. That's all I got. We will see you guys on Monday.
This has been the Come On Man podcast. Now, go out and get it.